Good afternoon and welcome to day 3 of Love Your Lettering. Today's topic is basic lettering forms. Oops, sorry, I'm still getting used to landscape. Good afternoon. So I think I'm on time today, which is good. I'm getting used to the afternoon time slot, which is an adjustment for me. Good afternoon and thank you for coming on in. In our afternoon sessions, we try to keep them less chatty in the beginning and do the full demonstration and then some question and answers in the end. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, just getting comfortable. For those of you that are here for the first time, my name is Lisa. I blog at CreativLEI.com, looking at life creatively. In October, I wrote a 31-day lettering series called Love Your Lettering, and we had so much fun going through that, and many people have found the series since then. And so I've decided that it would be beneficial to quarterly go through the series. Yay! So I'm going to try and do this like this month and then, once in the summer and then the fall and the winter. Because I found that even though the posts and the replays are all posted on my blog, it's nice to be able to have live interaction with you guys that are just starting to go through the series. That way, if new questions come up throughout the series, then I can kind of address that and add it to the video demonstrations. For this March session, what I'm trying to do is get acclimated with the landscape mode because I've had some of you request to have the videos put on YouTube. And so that's why in our 2:30 meeting, what I'm trying to do is do mostly demonstration in a nice little block and not answer too many questions during that demonstration. That way that part of the video can be cut and moved over to YouTube. And then after the demonstration part is done, I will gladly take your questions. If you prefer the more chatty demonstrations, which I kind of do, I'm also coming on at 9:30 p.m. Eastern most nights so that we can have a more chatty demonstration too, because that for me is the most fun, to get to kind of interact back and forth with you guys live. But I'm trying to find the best of both worlds for everyone because I know that we don't all have incredible amounts of time to sit here on Periscope, although sometimes we'd like to. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera and get started on today's demonstration. Okay. So what we're talking about today is basic letter forms, and what I mean by that is breaking the alphabet into its components. And so today's exercise is just to do a sheet of all the little component parts. So this was my sample from October, and I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and work on a new sheet for you guys this afternoon. Okay. So I am using the Zig Millennium 08, which is a fine point pen. It's pigment ink, and it does pretty good about not bleeding through the page. Sorry. Let's get this tripod all situated for you guys, not leave shadows. Okay, so the first stroke that I want to practice is just that, that vertical stroke, just down and up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So you may notice that I have the notebook turned sideways, and the only reason why I'm doing that is just so that you guys get more paper on display than if I held it with its normal orientation. You can do whatever's most comfortable to you. So we've got some up and down strokes. So the next thing to do is to make some diagonals. And I'm using the grid of the graph paper as a guideline and kind of going from corner to corner. And then you can also make those down strokes as well. And it's kind of important to practice going both up and down, because as we do print alphabets and cursive alphabets, and then later on with calligraphy and brush lettering, you're going to want to have all these little drills kind of in your back pocket to warm up your hands and build some muscle memory. If you find that these, in the beginning, to get used to these, you might want to go somewhat slowly or do it multiple rows of each little exercise, and then you kind of build up speed the more you do it. The next thing we're going to do is kind of a down curve. It's not a full C, And I'm going to go the opposite direction as well. You'll start to notice that these look like different pieces of letters that you normally write. And this exercise just gets us kind of aware of what those parts and pieces are. So the next thing, oh goodness, I gotta plug in. Sorry. Give me 2 seconds. All right. The next thing to do is kind of overhand humps. I'm connecting them. You might want to do them on their own. And I am kind of breaking the stroke at the end. I am lifting the pen. So it's not about just kind of going for the whole line. Okay. And then the inverse, we're going to go down and up. So hopefully my left hand is out of your way a bit. So this is no special pen grip, just whatever gets the ink flowing through your favorite pen the best. Okay, now the next thing I'll do is how we did the diagonals, but this time I'm going to come in at a curve, and this will be helpful for when we're doing brush lettering and cursive writing, is to get that slopey curve. This ends up being your entrance stroke to a lot of brush lettering. Okay, and now I'm going to do the inverse of that. Once I'm done with these, I'll go back to the lines and put the directional arrows for you guys to see. Sometimes I get a little bit ahead of myself and I need to slow down just a tad. I'm trying to move my hand so I'm not always in your way. Those of you that are right-handed that are bearing with this lefty letterer, I certainly appreciate that. Another thing you can do is make horizontal lines. The neat thing about practicing the components of the letters is that these also serve as good practice for doodling different borders and designs and stuff like that. So kind of gives you some good separation things if you're a journaler, bullet journaler, Bible journaler, and you're looking for things to break up your sections of notes. You might want to throw in a line of doodled strokes. Okay, and the last one that I'll do is the circle. So I am starting in like the top center of the circle and coming all the way around. Sometimes they're nice and round, sometimes they get a little squished. If you find that your hand is cramping up, you need to loosen your grip a little bit because it definitely should not be cramping up too much. So I'm going to go back over these with another pen just to show you the direction, and that way if you wanted to take a screenshot, you can certainly do that. Okay, so, and this is the Tombow Fudenosuke. This has the gray brush and the black brush. So I like this one because I use it for like drop shadows and things like that, but it's helpful to go back over with my, to be a contrast to the black writing that I've done here. Alright, so we went down and then up on these verticals. Okay, on these we went up. And then I also came down. Okay. For these, this was a downstroke. And the inverse was downstroke as well. Okay. And these little humps went up and around. These went down and up. Okay. And then this went from the bottom corner to the top. And then this went from the top to the bottom. This is the downstroke. These were our horizontals. And then this was our round from the top back over to the top. And I don't have a set number of times that you should repeat them. You'll start to know as you go through the practice, you'll start to see which ones cause more struggle for you, and I would definitely recommend repeating lines of those. And you can mix them up. You can do these upstrokes and downstrokes, kind of interspersed the way I did on the straight diagonals. You can mix them, match them, and try and come up with some doodled borders using your component drills there. So there's your basic letter forms. And if you guys have questions and answers, hopefully I have the answers, now would be an awesome time for us to chat. Thank you guys so much for kind of bearing with straight demonstration. That way I can hopefully use these videos for those that don't have the time to sit through our chats. They can just get that instruction. So if you guys have some questions, I'm going to flip the camera, that way you can see me. Alright, so hopefully everyone's having a good afternoon. Sorry, I'm fussing with the tripod, that's never good. The dual tip black and gray for brush lettering because yours says calligraphy. Yes, it does say calligraphy. These are Japanese pens. You saw my washi collection. These are Japanese pens, so of course their labeling is a little bit different than our English. But yes, I do use this for brush lettering and also drop shadows. I love the gray. It's very handy to have both on one pen. Yes, my washi collection is quite sizable. I have purged and regrown it many, many times. And it's funny because I don't really use a whole lot of it. Show the drop shadow. You're going to jump ahead on a couple lessons? Alright, let me turn to TombowUSA.com is where you can find this pen. You may also be able to find it on Amazon, and it's probably linked on my supply pages. Let me flip the camera one more time. Okay, so yeah, for those of you that trying to find me on the internet, these are the places where you can find me. I know it doesn't look all pretty, does it? Just kind of plain print. Okay, so Stacy wants to see a drop shadow, so her wish is my pleasure. Okay, so here's what I mean by a drop shadow. Let's get that set up. Okay, so now this does not go with this lesson. This is the dual brush Fudenosuke from tombousa.com. It is not the same as the dual brush colored pens. It is a finer brush that is actually really helpful when you're trying to do brush lettering. So let's get here. Yeah, Stacy's enabling everyone. Okay, so there's my word shadow. And now a drop shadow, you would choose where you would, like you either have your light source coming from here or your light source coming from here. And then you want your shadows to be kind of uniform on both sides. And we get to this type of writing later on in this series. This is kind of nothing to do with basic letter forms. But it is my pleasure to kind of demonstrate. So let's say I've got my light source coming from this direction. That's okay. Now I will take the gray pen and just kind of trace these downstrokes, these heavier strokes that are opposite where the light would be coming. So it creates kind of the shadowed look and makes it look more dimensional. Okay, I don't know. Can you zoom in? I don't think so. Oh, yeah, you can. If I don't end up closing out the broadcast. Yeah, so your shadows are going to go like, so here's light source would be coming this way, so it's going to cast the shadow on this side. And you could do them on the upstrokes too, but sometimes I find that I like just the delicate, yeah, it does. It gets you excited. It means you got to stick through it. You got to go through the rest of the lessons to get to the brush lettering. And look at that, Stacy. Not all my letters touch the baseline. You can totally make your letters dance. So I'm just poking some fun because Stacy is further on in this series and she does not want to work off the lines. I know. It's crazy, right? Isn't it? It would look great with different colors. Would you like me to get a color and show you? Okay, so I'm sorry, if you're just joining, you will want to probably go back to the replay and watch from the beginning, because right now we're just kind of fooling around with extra tips about brush lettering, drop shadows. So let me write another word. So now, okay, last time we had the light source coming from this direction, so this time I'm going to have it from that direction. So now I'm going to do a drop shadow on the opposite side. Okay. So you can go ahead and do them on the upstrokes also if you'd like. It's all a matter of personal preference. So, and that's fun if you wanted to do like titles in your journaling or something like that. But so the idea of a drop shadow is that it's actually dropping from whatever your start line is. So, and it's opposite of where the light would be hitting. So if light would be hitting on this side, then your shadow is going to be on the opposite side. How's that? Oh, awesome. Yeah, it took me a while before I actually put pen in my Bible journal, my journaling Bible, but now I kind of don't mind so much. I just kind of do it. I kind of do my own thing. Mine is definitely more lettering and note-taking than it is art, but it just kind of, I've enjoyed that. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put that back for anybody, those that were joining to see actual day 2 stuff. You like your Prismas? Yeah, I don't usually have those out because I actually have a different portable, I have this little portable set of colored pencils, which are not nearly the quality of some artist pencils, but they're handy for during church to have that in there. But I use a lot of pens and stuff. The official name, yeah, Drop Shadow. See, now you know. Alright, so that's all I have for this afternoon. And look at that, I'm still in about 20 minutes. That's great. I do like my colored pens also. I've shown my pen bag before. This is the one that comes to church. For journaling, do I use pencil or pens? I use a combination of both because I find that the pencils work good if I want to color bigger areas and don't want the bleed through. So yeah, this is for my journaling Bible. I use friction pens and Staedtler pens. I use the Staedtler ones for inductive symbols, and then the friction pens sometimes for word art or highlighting, that type of thing. This is the Sew Together bag from So Demented, and I have put links to that before. It should be on the Facebook page. I can try and do that again. I don't follow Illustrated Faith. I have seen their stuff. I was part of that community before it became Illustrated Faith, when it used to just be lots of Bible journalers together. But I actually don't do much art journaling in my Bible, so I find that my style is very different from that community. But they have some beautiful work to look at. I am more of the journal and doodle type. This is the John study from Carrie that I'm getting ready to dig into. Yeah, so this is my kind of Bible journaling. Yeah, so we're going to get a little squirrely now that all the Love Your Lettering stuff is done, right? Yeah, Stone Soup for 5. And I have a discount code if you were interested in the John study, and it's Creative20, and that is on my Facebook and all that kind of stuff. So here's my, let's see. Flip the camera again. I'm eventually going to get used to the landscape mode, maybe. Alright, so let's see. My journaling Bible ends up looking more like stuff like this. I don't do a whole lot of art. It's mostly note-taking. And so this would be the friction pen, and then this would be the Staedtler, and then fine liners over there. So let's see. We spilt something in my purse. Yeah, it's my fault because I'm moving the camera too much. So like, that's the extent of my art in there. Oh, you're still holding a portrait. I actually like, when I'm watching a Periscope that's being done in landscape, I like to watch it in portrait. That way the comments don't go over the broadcast, if that makes much sense. Kind of do family trees in here also. So, like, the most I do is kind of doodled borders and lettering and things like that. I don't paint the whole page because I am not interested at all in covering the text, because this is my Bible. It's the one that I use to read. I don't keep a separate one for art. So yeah, I'll do things like that. Like sometimes I'll put, this was a gray pen to shadow that passage, do a doodle over there, but mostly I'm doing inductive symbols and things like that, and lots of notes. You washi taped your chapter pages? This is the ESV Journaling Bible from Crossway Books, and it has about 1.5 inch margins, which is nice. Yeah, I do my journaling and studying all in one place because I do. So there's some art, but I don't extend it past the margins because my hope is that these Bibles will go to my children, and I would rather them see my notes than my art. We have my art around the house. My Bible is just a place for notes and stuff. So that's what I do. So these I have read through and studied John last year, so I'm kind of liking gonna go through it again with Carrie's study and focus more on journaling outside the Bible. So that's kind of fun. All right, so there we go. It's almost 3 o'clock. Have I seen the Bibles with the coloring pages? Yeah, I've seen the previews for that. I think that's neat because there's a lot of people that are interested in these journaled or doodled Bibles and don't feel courageous to do it themselves, which of course makes me sad because that's my whole mission is to help you guys kind of embrace the bit of creativity that you are able to do. And it's not so much about copying what someone else has done, but it's about finding the things that you're already pretty good at and just tweaking them to be even better, something that you're really proud of sharing. And if it's tracing, it's tracing, Stacy. That's quite all right. I'm not going to bash the tracing at all because it's still being done by your hand, and I think that's the bigger thing is having things that are written by your hand for your children to see in later days. Those that we're talking about washing the chapters, I think what they mean is how we tape together the pages for the Love Your Lettering notebook. Some of them put washi tape along the first page of each chapter of their Bible. I have not done that just because I know that it adds bulk and these books are pretty chunky to begin with, especially once you start putting some other notes and stuff in there. So I have not done the edges of my pages, also because I did art on the edges, so washi tape would have prevented that. So that was kind of the neat thing about the unfinished edges of my journaling Bible. So I have kept you for about a half an hour, so I'm going to let you guys go. We've got some children that'll be coming off the bus soon, and some that are coming back downstairs, which means the movie upstairs must be over. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you. Love you too, Stacy. I will be back later this evening for, I know I have missed being on Periscope, and that's why I'm really enjoying going through the demonstrations for this series again. Hopefully it goes a little bit smoother than it did in October, but life does not run that way, so it's going to be kind of up and down, especially if we do end up closing on the house on March 31st, because it means I've got, 4.5 weeks to pack, and we are not packed yet. Only the stuff that's in storage is packed. But I'll keep you guys all posted on that. Thank you guys so much for being here this afternoon. Those of you that are going to be up late tonight, I will see you around 9:30. Otherwise, I'll see you again tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day.